Alright, it's April 5th, 2017, continuing with the Federal Railroad Administration Track Rail Infrastructure Integrity Compliance Manual, Volume 2, Track Safety Standards Class, Chapter 1, Track Safety Standards Class 1 through 5, July 2014. Page 69, 213, Statute 213, 111, 113, defective rails. 113A, when an owner of the track to which the part applies learned through the inspection otherwise the rail in the track that contains the defects of any of the defects listed in the following table, a person designated under Statute 213.7 shall determine whether or not the track may continue in use. If he determines that the track may continue in use, operation over the defective rail is not permitted until the rail is replaced. The remedial action prescribed in the table initiated defect, length of the defect in inches, percent railhead, construction, area cross, area weakened of the defect. And if defective is not replaced, take the remedial action prescribed in note. More than but not less, more than but not more than, less than but not less than. A transfissure, 70 of transfissure, compound fissure, detail of heat fracture, engine burn fracture, defective weld, horizontal vertical split head, split web pipe, rail, head web separation, butthole crack, broken base, ordinary break, damaged rail, flattened rail, breakout in railhead. Note. A. Assigned person designated under Statute 213.7 usually supervise each of the operation over the defective rail. A2. Any person designated under Statute 213.7 to make the visual inspection. The person may authorize operation to continue with a continuous visual and supervision at maximum of 10 miles an hour for 24 hours prior to the another such visual inspection replacement of the repair of the rail. B. Limitation over the defective rail is authorized by a person designated under Statute 213.7 who has at least 1 year of supervisor experience with the railroad track maintenance. The operating speed cannot be over 30 miles an hour with the maximum allowable speed under Statute 213.9, but the class of the track is concerned is however lower. Apply the joint bars only through the outermost holes of defective of 20 days after the determined continue of the track in use. In this case, the class 3 through 5 limit operating speeds over the defective rail 20 to 30 miles an hour until the joint bars are applied thereafter. Limit speed 50 miles an hour, maximum allowable speed under Statute 213.9, but the class of the track concerned whichever is lower, whichever of the internal defects of the conducted under Statute 213, 237, the defective is covered in the class 3 and 5. Through required remedial action, C operating speeds but limited to 50 miles an hour, maximum allowable speed under Statute 239 for the class of the concern, whichever the lower period not exceeding 4 days. The defective rail has not been removed with the track of the permit. The rail made with 4 days for the discovery limiting operating speed over the defective rail of 30 miles an hour until the joint bars are applied thereafter. Limited speed 50 miles an hour, maximum allowable speed is 213 N for the class of the track concern, whichever the lower. D. Applying joint bars bolted only through the outermost hole of the defective of the 10 days after the determined to continue with the track in use in case of the class 3 through 5 track. Operating speed over the defective rail is 30 miles an hour or less for the authorized with the person designated under Statute 213.7a with at least 1 year of supervisor experience in the railroad track maintenance until the joint bars are applied thereafter. Limited with the speed with the 50 miles an hour with the maximum allowable speed 213N. 213.9 for the class for the track concern, whichever the lower. E. Apply joint bar to defective and bolt in accordance with the Statute 213.121 D and E. Inspect the rail 90 days after determining the continuum of the track in use. Inspect the rail 30 days after determining the continuum of the track in use. Limiting over H. Limiting overspeed of defective of the rail 30-50 miles an hour, maximum allowable speed under the Statute 213M for the class of the track concern, whichever is lower. Limiting operating speed over the defective rail of 30 miles an hour with the maximum allowable speed under Statute 213N9 for the class of the track covered in here is net lower. Alright, 13B, as used in this section, transfissure, to the right, there's pictures to the right after each of the definitions. Transverse fissure means that the progressive crosswise fracture stranding of the crystalline center of the nucleus inside of the head with which it spreads outward with a smooth, bright, dark, round, oval surface with a substantial right angle to the left of the rail, length of the rail. Distinguishing feature of the transfissure fissure from other type of the fracture defect of the crystalline center of the nucleus and the nearly smooth surface of the development surrounded it. The compound fissure means the progressive fracture originating with a horizontal split turned up or down the head of the rail with smooth, bright, and dark surface presenting substantial at a right angle length of the rail. With the compound fissure required examination both sides faces of the fracture to locate the horizontal split and the head of the they originate. Horizontal split made with a horizontal progressive defect originating with the inside of the rail head, usually 1/4 inch below the running surface of the progressive horizontal in all directions, generally accompanied with a flat spot on the running surface. The defects appear to crack lengthwise with the rail and reaches the side of the railhead. Alright, 4. A vertical split head means the vertical split through the near of the middle of the head with extending in through and out. A crack of the rusted streak may show under the head close to the web. The pieces may be split off to the side of the head. Alright, your split web means a lengthwise crack along the side of the web with extending into and throughout it. Piped rail means the vertical split in the rail, usually in the web, due to the failure of the shrinkage cavity and gotten in the unity in the rolling. Broken base means a break in the base of the rail. Defective fracture means the progressive fracture originating near the end of the surface of the railhead. The fracture should not be confused with fissures, compound fissures, or other defects in which they have internal origins. Detailed fractures may arise with shell spots and head checks and flaking. Alright, engine burning fracture means a progressive fracture originating with the spots with the driving wheels with slipped into the top of the railhead and developing downward with frequently reassembled with the compound even the transmission within. They should not be confused with the classified ordinary break means the partial complete break within which there was no sign fissure within which none of the other defects is paragraph B are found. 11. Damaged rail means that any rail broken, injured, broken, flat, unbalanced, slipping, wheels slipping, or similar causes. Alright, a flattened rail means the short length of the rail, not a joint, which has the flattened out of across the width of the railhead of depth of 3/8 of an inch or more below the rest of the rail. Flattened rail occurrences have no repetitive regulatory, and those do not include corrections. They do not include corrugations and have not apparent localized causes such as web or welded engine burn. Their individual length is relatively short and compared with the conditions such as head flow and low rail curves. Alright, a bolt hole crack means the crack across the web originating from the bolt hole, progressing with the path and incline with the upward toward the railhead, incline with the downward toward the base, fully developing the hole cracks, maybe continue horizontally along the head web, the base web filled with the may be progressive through the head with a separate piece of the rail end with the rail, multiple cracks occurring with only one rail, and considering to be single defect. However, the bolt hole cracks occurring in the adjacent rail end with the same joint must be reported in separate defects. Alright, 14. Defective welding. Defective weld means field paint welding containing any discontinuities, pockets exceeding 5% of the railhead across the individually 10% aggregated or ordinated near the transmission plane due to the incomplete penetration of the welded metal between the rail ends, lack of fusion between the weld and rail end metal, the entertainment of slag and sand under the bed under the shrinkage cracking, fatigue cracking. Welded defects may originate with the railhead web base, or in some cases the cracks may progress with the defects in either both adjoining rail ends. 15. Head and web separation means it's progressive fracture, longitudinal separation with the head of the web with the rail of the head of the fillet. Okay, so the remedial action is required. The defective rail specified with the defined time limit speed. The remedial action also concern the distractions, discretion for the track owner for the continued operation with the over the concerned defects. Alright, so I had a phone call. Guidance. The remedial action required for the defective rail specified in the defined time and limits of speed. But the remedial action also allows certain discretion for the track owner with the continued operation of over certain defects. Inspectors should consider all the rail defects dangerous should be taken to determine the proper remedial action have been accomplished by the railroad. When more than one defect presents in the rail, the defects requiring most restrictive remedial action shall govern. The remedial action table, the specification rule addressed with the risk associated with the rail failure. The risk of the primary dependent upon the defective type and the size shall not be dependent upon the manner mechanism that reveals the existence of the defect of the failure of the track owner to comply with the operational speed restrictions, maintenance procedures prescribed, inspection intervals specified in section 213-237. The defective rail's inspection with the rail respectively may constitute violation of the track safety standards. No A2 addresses the mid-range transverse defective side of the remedial action allows the train to operation to continue maximum of 10 miles per hour up to 24 hours following the visual inspection by a person designated under statute 213. If the rail is not placed upon another 24-hour cycle begins. Note that B limits the speed of the authorization person designated under statute 213(7)A who has less 1 year of supervisor experience with the track maintenance for the qualified person have the responsibility to evaluate the rail defective authorization maximum operating speed over the defective rail based on the side of the defective operation condition. However, the maximum speed over the rail may not exceed 30 miles an hour. Maximum speed under statute 213(9) with the class for the track concerned, whichever lower. Note that the CDH of the limit operating speed following the application of the joint bars is 950 miles an hour. Maximum allowable speed under statute 213.9 with the class of the track concerned whichever the lower the maximum speed in the nodes of the BCDH exceed with the current track of the railroad required for the record of the defect. For example, the railroad determines the remedial action be required for the track speed or already with 30 miles an hour for the railroad must record the defect indicated for the railroad is aware of the characteristic defective rail, the designated and permissible speed in compliance with regulation. When an FRA inspector discovers the defective rail required for the remedial railroad representative to determine to continue with the track and use the designated maximum speed over the rail, the inspector should inquire with the representative knowledge of the defect. Remedial action the railroad now is not aware of the defective prior to the FRA inspection. The FRA inspector should observe the actions taken by the railroad representative to determine the compliance the railroad has previously found the defective rail of the FRA and should conform the proper remedial action was taken during the record inspection, but the FRA inspector should conform the defects were recorded but the proper remedial action were taken. The remedial action table to defect the failing with the transverse plane with the transverse and the compound fissure detailed engine burn fracture the defective weld specified for the lower limited range for the 5% with the rail head cross-sectional area with the transverse defective reported by less than 5%. The track owner is not legally bound to provide with the corrective action under the track safety standard. The defective reported less than 5% are not consistently found during rail break routine. Therefore, the defective determination with the range is not always reliable. Transverse compound fissure defect weaken between 50 and 70% of the cross-sectional edge with the required remedial action. Note B, the defective range between 70 or less than 100% of the cross-sectional area head or require remedial action. Note A2, as prescribed defects after the 100% of the cross-sectional area head aware of the remedial action. Note A, the prescribed the most restrictive. The inspector should be aware of the transverse compound fissure, the defect of the failure of the transverse plane and or characteristic rail has not been controlled, cooled, normally rolled it prior to 1936. The defect is identified with a group of detailed fracture, engine burn fracture of the defective welds that will weaken as fail to the transverse plane with the detailed fracture characteristic controlled cooled rail, usually indicated with the letters CC and CH for the rail. Brian 136E RECC CFNI and E 1982 1111 that the prescribed remedial action requires for long range between 5 and 25% and mid range from 25 to 80% and 25 and 80%. Note that the CD and note D the respectively defects required joint bar application to operation speed restrictions certain the time frame to defend defects extending less than 100% but more than 80% require visual inspection to not replace with effectively repair removed from the surface. The electric would be restricted with operation maximum 10 miles an hour from up to 24 hours performing the another visual inspection. Second seconds of the remedial action. Note the C address for the defects discovered in the class 3 and 5 with the 3 in class 3 through 5 during the internal real inspection requirement of statute 213-237, which are determined not by the excess of the 25% of the railhead cross-section area of the specific defects. The track owner may operate a period of not exceeding 4 days at the speed limit of 50 miles an hour maximum level speed under statute 213.9 with the class of the track concerned whichever the lower the defective rail is not removed. The permanent repair is not made within 4 days of the required or discovered the speed is limited to 30 miles per hour until the joint bars are applied with the rail replaced. The requirements specified with the second paragraph is intended to promote the better utilization of rail inspection equipment, therefore maximizing the opportunity to discover the rail defects approaching service failures, service size. The result of the FRA research indicate the defects, the type of the size range, have a predictable slow growth life. The research further indicates the most heavily underutilized trackage in the day with the defects of the type of the size is unlikely to grow with the size surface with the failure size in 4 days. And remedial action, the longitudinal defects combined with one group of the subject in identical remedial actions based on the reported size of the type of the longitudinal defects are also shown share similar growth rates and same remedial actions as appropriate to each of the types of defective railway categorized for the horizontal split, vertical split, head split web of the pipe rail, and the head web separation longitudinal nature. When the gradient of the group of the defects more than 1 inch but not more than 2 inches, the remedial action initiated under paragraph no H with to the limit the speed of 50 miles an hour. Note that the F requires the re-inspection of the rail in 90 days. Deciding the operation will continue to defect with the range of more than 2 inches but not more than 4 inches, requiring the complying with the notes I and G speeds limited to 30 miles an hour with the rail re-inspected within 30 days. The decided operation will continue when any of the 5 defect types exceed the length of 4 inches under the note of B of the person designated in statute 213.7a who decides the operation will continue must authorize for the operating speed up to and not exceeding 30 miles an hour under note B. Any form of head web separation other preferred for the fillet and crack rail is longitudinal growth of the crack of the fillet area that usually of the gauge side of the outer rail with the curve of the crack that must not exceed with the full length between the head of the web of the but is potentially dangerous. Evidence of the fillet cracking and the hairline crack running beneath the head of the rail with the bleeding of the rust or discolorization. Fillet cracks are a result of the improper super elevation stress reversal of the result of the transposing rail. The use of the mirror is an effective aid with examining the rail and determining the head web cracks and separation of the body of the rail. A bolt hole crack is a progressive fracture originating with a hole extending away from the hole, usually in an angle to developing high stress rise for the usually initiating as the result of the bolt dynamic thermal response of the joint. Bolt points along the edge of the hole with under the load. The major cause of the high stress and proper field drilling of the hole. Excessive longitudinal rail movement can also have high stress along the edge of the hole. When evaluating the rail ends, the multiple bolt hole cracks, the inspector will determine the required remedial action based on the length of the lengthwise longest of the individual bolt hole crack. Under notes H and F, the remedial action for the bolt hole crack more than 1/2 inch bolt, not more than 1 inch of the rail is in place and is to be a speed of 50 miles an hour, the maximum allowable under statute 239 for the class of the track concerned, whichever the lower of the reinspect of the rails in 90 days and the operations will continue. For bolt hole cracks greater than 1 inch but not exceeding 1 1/2 inch, note that H and G apply with the rails are required to limit the 50 mile an hour re-inspected within 30 days. For a bolt hole cracking exceeding 1 1/2 inch, the person qualified under statute 213(7)(a) may elect designate speed restriction which cannot be exceed 30 miles an hour maximum allowable under statute 239 for the class of track concerned, whichever the lower. Under the paragraph notes F and G, for the corrective action required for the rail to be re-inspected with a specific number of the days after discovery. The several opportunities the options for the compliant for the exercise depending on the nature of the defect. For the defects which are strictly internal and are not visible with the naked eye, the only option would be to perform another inspection with the flaw detection equipment, any of the rail, either rail mounted or handheld. For the defects visible to the naked eye through the measurable visual inspection of the inspection rail flaw detection equipment are acceptable options. For the certain defects enclosed with the joint bar areas such as the bolt hole cracks, head web separation, the joint bars must be removed and a visual inspection to be made. The reinspection prescribed in notes F and G must be performed with the prior to experience for the page time the 30 to 90 day interval. The remains with the track of the replaced with the reinspection cycle starts over the successful reinspection unless the reinspection reveals the real defect to increase inside. Therefore, there must be subject to more restrictive remedial action. The process continues indefinitely until the rail is removed from the track. When corrective action required for the rail to be re-inspected for the specific number of days after the discovery, the track owner has several options of compliance. One of the options is to perform another inspection rail defection equipment of the rail mounted with the handheld. Any other option would be perform the visual inspection with the defects of visible measurable. In the latter case, with the certain defects included for the joint bar. As such, if the bolt hole cracks, removal of the joint bars will be necessary to comply with the reinspection requirement. The defects remain of the track beyond the reinspection interval. The railroad must continue to monitor the defects and take appropriate actions as required in the remedial action table. A broken base can result with the improper bearing with the base of the track spike with the plate with the shoulder over the grip anchor that may originate with the manufacturing flaw with today's axle loads. Inspectors can anticipate broken base defects of 75 pounds and smaller rail section with the irregular track surface, especially on the field side. For any of the broken base discovered more than 1 inch with less than 6 inches in length, with the remedial action note D is applied with the joint bars bolts with the outermost holes to the defect within 10 days. The operation continued with the class 3 to 5 track with the operating speed must be reduced from 30 miles an hour to less authorized a person. Statute 237A, until the joint bars are equipped, the operating speed is limited to 50 miles an hour, maximum allowable under Statute 213 and 9 for the class for the track concerned, whichever is lower. Under Note D, there's several acceptable outermost holes, bolt arrangement, joint and bars concerned with the real defects. Share the following illustration: acceptable bolting arrangement in case that the railroad may not drill with the bolt holes next to the defect being remediated. Application joint bars pursuant to Note D, with the reason for the drilling of the next reason not drilling next to the defect is preventing the propagation of the crack in the hole close to the defect. Alright, the circle shows the bolt, and the blank says no bolt and no hole in the rail. One on the outside, two on the inside, one on the outside of the 6 hole, and 2 on the outside of the 6 hole. Alright, broken base, excessive for the 6 inch required for the assignment of the person designated under Statute 213 to visually supervise each of the train operation over the defective rail. The railroad may apply with the joint bar the defective bolt in accordance with the Statute 213-121. D and E and the theaters must limit the train operation to 30 miles an hour maximum allowed under the Statute 213 for the class of the track concerned, whichever lower the reference of the dimension between the outermost hole of the 24 inches of the joint bar between 15 and 18 inches above at 18 inches and a 36-inch joint bar approaching 30 inches. Inspector should point out of the track owner with the broken base for the nearing of the dimension, never negate the purpose of which the joint bars are applied with the broken base may be the cause of the damage external sources such as the rail anchors, but being driven through the base for the derailed wheel is improper to consider the damaged rail is defective. They address more stringent provisions applicable to broken base rails under the Barrett Note A and E and I. Damaged rail can result with the flat, broken wheels, incidental hammer blows, derailed, dragging equipment, reducing operation speed of class 3 and 3 through 5, track to 30 miles per hour until the joint bars are applied, lessen the impact of the imparted with the weakening area. Applying the joint bars under the note D of the ensure the proper horizontal vertical rail alignment in the event of the rail fails. Flattened rails collapse. The collapse of the head rail also caused by the mechanical interaction from the repetitive wheel loading. The FRA industrial research indicated by the occurrence for the accurate categories rail surface condition, not defects, not rail defects. They do not in themselves cause the service of the failure of the rail. Although it is not a condition shown of the effect of the structural integrity of the rail section, it can result in less of the desired dynamic vehicle response for the higher speed range. The flattened rail condition identified with the table, as well as the definition portion of 213.111.3b as beginning 3/8 of an inch or more in depth below the rest of the rail head, or by an 8 inches or more in length. The defect becomes more severe to reduce the rail head depth. Wheels increase. The rule addressed flattens the rail in terms of the specified remedial action, but those with a certain depth and length of the location meeting the depth and length of the criteria should be limited to an operating speed of 50 miles an hour maximum allowed under the statute 213.9, but the class of the track concerned whichever the lower. Breaking out of the railhead is defined with the piece of the physically separated with the parent of the rail with the rail defect meeting with the definition required with each of the operation over the defective rail with the visually supervised with the management person designed under the person designated under statute 213.7. The inspector needed to be aware of the definition applicable across the wide range of the rail defects indicated with the remedial action table. The where rail defects not in progress with the point where they meet the definition of breakout due to the time of the length of the location of the defect for the prevent hazard to continue the train operation. Inspector should determine the remedial action and the track owner should institute. The following two rail head breaks are examples where the corrective action would be necessary. Example 1, there's a bowl hole break where the head of the rail was totally separated with the parent rail either tight or loose, but their piece of the rail was not physically lifted out of the joint bars by hand. Inspector may determine whether the separation was total by the fact that the separated piece of rattled when the tapped, and it's important that the railroad take the appropriate remedial action for this situation because it's potentially very unsafe. It's impossible to know what will happen when the next train operates over the defect that the train could cause the piece to become so loose that it comes out of place and cocks at an angle causing the wheel to ramp up. Example 2, a vertical split head defective rail with rail head separation apparent because the inspector can determine the physical separation has occurred through the rail head. The rail head has not entirely separated over the entire length of the defect. The issue with excessive rail wear continue with the evaluated rail integrity task force. The FRA to believe the insufficient data that exists at the time indicated with the parameters of the conditions to propose minimum standard. The Sperry rail services prints an excellent reference manual on the rail defects. Inspectors expect to see conversation with the rail defects appearance for the growth of the hazard, the method of its detection. Some railroads apply the safety weld strap thermite type of the field weld. The strap do not provide with the same support of the joint bar, but would provide only limited support of the weld where the break and under the train movement is such that they do not comply with the provision of the corrective action CD and A installation of the joint bars on the joint bar with the full contact with the bottom of the rail end with the rail base. Statute 213.121a, with the manufacturer relief of the welded material comply with the corrective action C, D, and E. When the FRA inspector finds that the rail defective appears to originate with the fatigue and in the bottom of the wire attachment weld, the inspector should cite the railroad 213 defective that was 0113B. Inspectors must also identify the narrative type of the rail defect, the defective weld, detailed fracture, etc. The FRA has added the defective code based on the National Transportation Safety Board with recommendation arising the National Transportation Safety Board investigation on February 9, 2003 in the Canadian National Railway derailment in Tamora, Illinois. The National Transportation Safety Board determined the probable cause of the accidents of the Canadian National placement of the bond wire welds on the head of the rail outside of the joint bar when the untemperatured martensite associated with the welds led to cracking that because of the increased stress associated with the non-soft balancing condition rapidly progressed into a rail failure. Alright, 213.11.5, rail end mismatch. A mismatch with the rail joints may be not more than described in the following table. Class 1, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch on the tread of the rail inside, inches on gauge inside of the rail, inches. Class 2, 1/4 inch on the tread of the rail is end of the inches, and on the gauge side of the rail, end of the inches, 3/16 of an inch. Class 3, on tread rail, ends of the inches, 3/16 of an inch, and also on the gauge side of rail, end of the inches, 3/16 of an inch. For class 4 and 5, or 1/8 of an inch, on tread rail, ends and inches on gauge inside edge of the inches. Guidance. Use the straight edge to determine the mismatch for holding the straight edge with the longitudinally along with the higher of the rail, along with the gauge side with the 5/8 of an inch down towards the running surface of the rail. Measure the distance directly between the straight edge over the rail. Disregard the plastic overflow with the gauge side of the rail edge, limping, if any. On example, the mismatch over the section rail with the place of the track where the existing rail edge is engaged and the tread worn mismatch can also occur with the joint bars and are loose. However, the loose bars do not result for the mismatch and exceeding the thresholds under the section. Report with the defective loose joint bars. Statute 213.121 is standard prescribed with both tread and gauge mismatch threads. The mismatch may result with a high impact force, especially the higher speed. The mismatch success with allowable to result with significant rail end damage and violation should be considered. Particular attention should be given with the mismatch for the gauge side with the rail with the same flange with the screws for the truck with the combination of both may be covered with the wheel declines, particularly out of the rail with the curve. The following figures show the proper method of the measure gauge and tread mismatch. Your gauge mismatch and your tread and mismatch ruler and straight edge. 213.11.8, continuous weld rail plan review and approval. 11.8 or 118A. Each of the track owner with the track constructed with the continuous weld rail shall have the defect to comply with the plan with the continuous written procedure with the address, the installation, adjustment, maintenance, inspection with the continuous weld rail, inspection with the continuous weld rail joints, training program for the application of those procedures. The track owner 118B. The track owner with the continuous weld brand of the FRA Associated Administrative Railroad Safety Chief at the Safety Officer Associated Administrative within 30 days of the receipt of the submission. The FRA will review the plan with the compliance with the subpart. FRA will approve with the disapprove with the conditional, approve with the submitted with the will, provide with the written notice for the determination. 118C, with the track owner existing plan shall remain effective with the track owner of the new plan with approved with the conditional, approved with the effective pursuant to paragraph D of the section. 118D, the track owner shall open and receive with the FRA approval with the condition to approval of the established plan effective date with the track owner advised with the written FRA all effective employees of the effective date. 1118E, the FRA has cause stated with the main subsequence with the approval of the conditional approval required with the revision plan with the bring the plan with the conformity with the subpart notice of the revision requirement should be made with the written specifying with the basis of the FRA requirement the track owner may within 30 days of the revision requirement respond to provide with the written submission and if support with the original plan. The FRA renders the final decision writing no more than 30 days following any final decision requires the revision of the continuous welded rail plan with the track owner shall be amended with the plan in accordance with the FRA decision. Resubmitting the conforming plan with the conforming plan becomes the effective plan effective upon the submission of the FRA. The guidance: a continuous welded rail plan must be submitted for the FRA review with the track divisions, then approved with the associate administrator of the railroad safety chief safety officer. The FRA reviews each of the plan with the compliance with statute 213.119 A through L. The regional track specialist may request to provide the recommendation concerning the comprehensive of the use of those procedures. When conducting track inspection, the FRA inspector should have the most recent with a copy of the railroad continuous welded rail plan. The important you become enabled to inspect perform proper inspection to determine the compliance with the plan with the finalized continuous welded rail plan posted with the FRA secured with the website with the inspector review with the enforcement. If and the inspector does not substantial difference discrepancies between the official plan on the file with the FRA headquarters plan in the field with their substantial discrepancy between the official plan on the file with the FRA with the railroad field manual, the inspector should notify the regional track specialist. The FRA may also conditionally approve of the plan that might be inspected in instances what it would be beneficial with the agent's conditional approval of the plan. For example, the FRA might decide that the plan should be approved, but they might need to lock with the new technology proposed for the plan. The FRA would serve with the ability to later approve the disapproval of the plan formal condition approved. A track owner may be updated with the modified continuous welded rail procedures as necessary, but must submit any of the new modified with the FRA pursuant to statute 213.118 until the new plan is approved. Initial approval is effective with pursuant to paragraph D of the track owner's existing plan with the remaining of effect. 213.119 continuous welded rail plan contents. Guidance general. In addition to the safety compliant critical procedure listed in section of the railroad made it decide to include the procedure based on the administrative and economic consideration. For example, the railroad may choose to include the instruction of the limit of the use of the worn second-hand replacement rail because of the economic concern with about the length of the time that might take to perform the satisfactory weld. The railroad may also include specific action in the procedure for there or be taken an installation maintenance for the work does not comply with the overall procedure recording. And an activity that does not conform with the railroad continuous welded rail plan procedure does not provide with the railroad indefinite relief of the responsibility compliance when a procedure but not filed with continued non-compliance may be led in unsafe condition. The record-keeping procedure intended to provide with the safety net flagging with these activities non-compliance, which be brought into compliance with a timely manner, could lead to unsafe condition. For example, the continuous welded rail instead of the winter months without adequate rail with the anchors prescribed with written procedures discovered in late summer would clearly be the definition of deficient condition regardless of whether the recorded when out of this activity is considered safety related. The inspector should consult the regional track specialist. Whenever the condition inspection for the railroad activities include the observation of continuous welded rail, the FRA inspector should include the continuous welded rail plan and a unit with the header of the railroad inspection system of the proposed personal computer's inspector report. The record of the continuous welded rail plan on a unit regardless of the amount of the continuous welded rail mileage inspected. Record actual track and mileage until the units using the activity code MTH and MTW, etc. when the defective is taken with the aspect of the 213.11.9. FRA is also to designate the continuous welded rail plan for the line of the activity cell. In addition, with the inspector for the continuous welded rail plan, each of the line with the activity cell with performing the records inspection, recording the deficiency with the concern with the continuous welded rail joint records. The definition of buckling incidents explained with the industrial definition for the such events. However, the rules recognize important conditions that are precursive to buckle. The two failure modes associated with the track constructed with the continuous welded track buckle, the pole parts. Track buckle is considered more serious of the two and characterized with the formation of the large lateral misalignment caused by the high compressive force in the rail, thermal and mechanical loads weaken the track condition, weak track with the resistance alignment deviations, vehicle loads, a dynamic wave uplift, and lateral vertical ratios. Track owners should comply with the concept of the continuous welded rail plan approved the conditional approved under statute 213.11.8, and the plan should contain the following elements: procedure for the installation and adjustment of the continuous welded rail, include the designation of desired rail installation temperature range with the geographical area with the continuous weld is located. 2. The de-stressing pressure procedure method for the addressing proper attainment of the desired rail installation temperature range when adjusting continuous welded rail. Guidance: track owner with the track constructed with the continuous welded rail are required to have the effect of complying with the continuous welded rail plan that includes the track owner who operates entirely continuous welded track that has been designated accepted the track pursuant to the statute 213.4 prescribed under the statute 213.11.9 does not apply with accepted, but the statute 213.5b, however, the railroad designates the segment of the track is expected to still meet the requirements for the lease of the class 1 track of any portion of the track 1 located within 30 feet of the adjacent track subjected to simultaneous use of speed exceeding 10 miles an hour located on the bridge of the public street or the highway. Their trains are placarded in C statute 213.4d. Railroads typically establish the desired a rail installation temperature range for the geographical area. With the higher the temperature annual meaning temperature, the higher installation temperature will account for the expected reduction of the force free of the temperature caused by the track maintenance of the train traffic. The other factors reference to the term expected occurrence of the rail neutral temperature shift. Railroad failure to establish designated installation temperature range specified territory is under the statute 213.119a. Alright, 119B, rail anchor and fastening requirements provided with sufficient restraint with limiting longitudinal rail cross-tie movement, exceptional, practical, specialized, addressing the continuous rail anchoring, fastening, platform patterns, bridges, approaches, other locations where possible longitudinal rail cross-tie movements associated with the normal expected with the train and produced with the force instructed. 119C, with the continuous welded rail joint installation maintenance procedure which required that each of the rails should be bolted with at least 2 bolts for each of the continuous welded rail joint with the track inspector should determine any of the joints including installed with the continuous welded rail connection with the continuous welded rail must have at least 2 bolts at each of the rail end, minimum of the 4 bolts installed with the joint ball or if not filled with the rail welded at any time the installation. 213.121E, the bolts. These requirements serve the remainder of the track owner but they cannot create their own joint with the bolt requirements continuous welded rail with the least restrictive of those specified in the track safety standards. In this case, bolted joints installed with the continuous welded rail joints installation October 21st, 2009, but the track owner shall either within 60 days weld the joint, install the joint with 6 bars, 6 bolts to anchor that to every tie 195 feet both direction for the joint, and the guidance section applies for the installation of continuous weld rail such more than 400 feet if and not intended for the plug rail. Notice for the applicable date of the publishing with the final rule of the section August 25th, 2009 with the corrective of the Viva the amendment the published in October 21st, 2009 and 74 Federal Registry 538819. In the case of the bolted joint with the continuous welded rail experience with the surface failure with the jointed bar with the rail gap present with the track owner shell, either this section of the continuous welded rail joint joint experience with the failure with the rail gap, the present definition rail gap, the section rail under the tension example, the joint failure under the tension of the joint rail aimed could not be pulled together manually as within using a drift pin mechanically with the thermal assistance needed with the remedial action statute 213.11.19 C3 must be taken. Check the evidence for the tension such that the bent and broken bolts application thermal force heat of the repair report rope installed as flexible flammable mix. Alright, welded joint. Guidance: the rail is welded at the time of the joint is repaired. Place the broken bars, replace the broken bolts, adjust the anchors within 30 days for the welded joint. 30-day time limit. 30-day time limit is only to allow the railroad to adequately time together the resource with the welded joint. Continuous welded rail joint becomes the battered with the repair that can be completed with the track owner decides to cut the plug rail and remove the battered joint with the track busted. Must immediately broke with the compliance with the specified in 213.121A with the 30-day of the time the start alignment starts with the original installation date of the bolt joint with remedial action. 30-day period does not begin with it. Again, with the continuous welded rail joints required for the remove the joints that have not been welded with the 31st day of the joint violation submitted with the track owner failure to appropriate the remedial action. The track owner must have selected the plan remedial action to be taken in the inspector report with the documentation that may be addressed from the continuous welded rail plan at the time of the defect was discovered. It must be documented with written electronic documentation. Must be made available upon request for the FRA during the regular business hours. 3. Replace the broken bar with replace the broken bolts. Install one additional bolt per rail and adjust anchors. Replace the broken bar. Replace the broken bolts anchor at every time within 195 feet in both the direction of the continuous welded rail joint. 5. Replace the broken bar, replace the broken bolt, add rail provision for later adjustment pursuant to paragraph D2 of the section and reapply with the anchors. The track owner should ensure that any of the rail head for the repair with the continuous welded rail part with the properly adjusted back at the required safety natural temperature with the corners with the railroad. Continuous welded rail plan at rail temperature arrive at the expansion of the rail. Increase the track owner might have the provision of continuous welded rail plans for slow order effective track with the make repaired adjustment to bring the track into compliance. For example, in many of the cases, additional 1 inch of the rail with the 1,000-foot string with the continuous welded rail would lower the rail neutral temperature of 13 degrees. Remedial action described in Statute 213.11.9 C 3, 4, and 5 used in the effect if the joint fails again with the rail grab presents an after initial repair and additional more restrictive repair required to show if the rail tension must not adequate addressed during the initial remedial action. Continuous welded rail must be inspected compliant with additional parts of the track safety standards such as tie condition, surface of the rail, and mismatch and proper fitting joint bars. 119 procedure will specify the address maintained with the desired rail installation temperature range with the continuous welded rail, including rail repairs and track welding in conjunction with the adjustment medium made area and tight rack of the track buckle to pull apart with the rail repair practices shall take into consideration resisting rail temperature so that when the rail is removed the length is installed the determining type of the taking the consideration existing rail temperature desired rail installation temperature range. Under no circumstance should the added with the rail temperature is below the designated paragraph 8.1 of the section without provision of later adjustment. 119E with the procedure of addressing the monitoring continuous welded rail in a curved track with the inward shift aligned with the center of the curve with the result with the disturbed track guidance. Thermal and mechanical effect of the track structure decrease with the track owner adherence with the track engineering standard. The adherence to the track owner standard of the continuous welded rail plan promote the continuous welded track stability and safety of the engineer elements resist mechanical load, thermal load, lateral resistance, longitudinal resistance, rail neutral temperature. Track buckles can be expected under the predominantly lateral dimension, lateral resistance, critical bleeding, dependent on the weight inside the cross material bullet, loose material, shoulder width, and track crib content, and its level consolidation. The degree of the curvature increase the buckling resistance decrease the cross tie base with the side of the crib friction with the ballast shoulder of the resistance contributed to overall lateral resistance sustained with general, each with the contributed base 50% on the side, 20-30% and 20-30 shoulder, 20-30% is resistance, but the ratio varied depending upon the ballast condition. Lateral resistance varied location depending on the ballast shoulder, geometry, cross tie size and type, and the state of the ballast consolidation. Thermal loads themselves can be buckled and are often called static buckling. However, the buckling occurs with a combination of thermal vehicle loads. The term dynamic buckling, the inspector should be emphasized the vehicle dynamic effect of the track lateral stability, where there's high temperature rails, where vehicle loading can be progressively weakening the track due to the dynamic uplift of the fluxure waves and the buckle mechanical response, inducing the misalignment of the growth. Because the majority of buckles occur under the dynamic train movement, the loading is an important element of the buckling mechanism. The elements of the track lateral instability include formation of the initial track misalignment caused by the reducing local resistance, impact loads, initial rail surface imperfection, soft spots from the ballast, and the curve of the radial breathing and shifting. Misalignment growth caused by the high lateral loads, increased longitudinal force, and track uplifts due to the vertical loads and train-induced vibration. Inspectors may be considered above the elements when combined with the rail related evidence, actual defects, geometry condition, or other defects in structural condition, evaluating the adequacy of the railroad continues while the rail stability procedure in Statute 213.11.9 B, C, D, and E. Location of the track buckling is much likely to include, but the horizontal vertical curve at the bottom of the Grays Bridge approach to the high rail grade crossing have recently distributed the track areas of the heavy trains starting in the braking. The deciding precursors of the buckle include the numerally formed alignment, the deviation, wavy, kinky, snaky, etc. rail rotating, lifting out of the tie plates, intermittent loose tie plates, with excessive running of the rail, causing the ties to blow out, churn for the ballast, insufficient anchor to the anchor, the balance installed with tightly against the tie, insufficient ballast section with the crib at the shoulder areas, the gap of the cross tie ends, especially over the lower end of the rail, the curve of the more prone to the buckling because of the curve of the effect of the alignment, the imperfection, sensitivity, train load is important. The inspector considered where the buckle may occur, but the track segment the conditions well the rail installation occurred below the desired rail installation temperature range. There was adequate control of the laying of the temperature and adequate adjustment of the rail. Afterward, an additional inspector should observe areas recent maintenance of the other with the ballast rail and whether the inadequate reconsideration, distributed balance, and adequate temperature adjustment when replacing defective rail, the curvature increase the buckling resistance decrease under some conditions. High degree of curvature undergo the gradual lateral shift, progressive buckling, lateral alignment deviations reduce the track buckling strength and can initiate the growth of critical levels. Vertical alignment deviations can also influence the buckling. Lateral misalignment is important consideration because it reduces the ability of the track to resist the mat and buckling, and the alignment is offset mid-award and able to allow the limit to the escalate under the imposed load that is called the track shifting longitudinal force cover the track with the cause on force in the curved track will then continue as well the rail to move the radically compressive load of the railroad during the summertime, but the moves to tread track outwards. Tensile load with the winter with the move the track where end. Known as the radial breathing inspector should remove the allowable limits under Statute 213.55. Evaluate the relevant alignment track strength in Statute 213.13. Move under the load due to the repeated thermal vertical vehicle loadings. General speaking, decrease the rail nature temperature 30 to 40 degrees, but the installation temperature may be critical lead with the directly buckling. Inspector should monitor the following factors: may insufficient shift the force field temperature within proper the rail installation, inadequate rail anchors, the fastening lateral movement, the curve through lining operations, scheduleization, track segments, ballast, remove the maintenance purpose of the inadequate ballast section, the lateral and longitudinal restraint with the influence of the factor maintained above the improper maintained with allowed with the existing defect. Say increase the opportunity to track buckle. Track buckle will occur less frequently than tangent to the track of the curve of the however the buckling the tangent will generally occur suddenly with more than severe consequences. Second of the two failure modes, they associate with the track constructed with the continuous while the rail is pulled apart with the rail, decrease the temperature in the winter of the crease, create the tensile force with the maximum tensile load with the rail with determined with the difference installation force of the three temperature lowest the rail temperature of tensile force that can be caused with this track. Direct fracture of the rail, cross-section prior cracks, weak welds, shared rejoint welds, and continuous welded rail string location. 119F, the procedure will govern the train speed, continuous welded track speed. Maintenance work, track rehabilitation, track construction, any other event occurs with the disturb of the roadbed ballast section, the reduced lateral longitudinal resistance of the track, and the difference between the average rail temperature with the average over the rail and the neutral temperature of the range with the cause of the buckling prone with the condition of the present specific location. Guidance required the railroad needs to be required with the rail neutral temperature with the performing rail repair and installation. 3. Information of the procedure under paragraph F1 and F2 of the section. The track owner shall determine the speed required for the duration, subsequent removal of any of the speed restriction based on the restoration of the ballast, along with sufficient ballast reconciliation, stabilize the track to a level that can accommodate expected train-induced forces. Ballast consolidation can be achieved through either the passage of the train tonnage or the mechanically stabilization procedure, or both. 2. Take into consideration type of the cross drive. 19G procedure will describe the physical track inspections are to be performed. 1. At the minimum, the procedure shall address the inspection track to identify the buckling prone for the conditions of the continuous wall of the track, including locations where the tight and kinky rail conditions are likely to occur, location where the track of the work of the nature described in F11 of the section has recently been performed. The pull apart prone for the conditions of the continuous wall of the rail, including location where the pull apart stripe the rail conditions are likely to occur. And 2. In formulating with the procedure within paragraph G1 of the section, the track owner shall 1. And specify the inspection will be conducted, specify the appropriate remedial action to be taken with the buckling prone with the pull apart prone conditions as found. 119H, the procedure will prescribe the scheduling and conducting the inspection, detect track cracks and indication of potential hazard failure of the continuous wall of the rail. Formulating with the procedure owner of this paragraph, the track owner shall guidance for the paragraph requires that each of the train owner to consider and include a contingent wall of the rail provision for the scheduling conducting with the joint with the inspection person will call the partner and inspection 213.7 will proceed with the perform the inspection required for the paragraph of the joint. 1. Address the inspection joint for the track construction for the joints, including the minimum of the periodic on-foot inspection. The paragraph governs the on-foot and track and foot periodic inspection continues well. The rail track owner is required of the established procedure conducted with these inspection upon the identified actual condition for the joint failure of the broken and the track joint bars. The potential condition for the joint failure, track owners must initiate the appropriate corrective action, keep appropriate records. See the statute 213.119H5 of the 213.119H7. In addition, when track owners discover the condition while the rail joints are not compliant with the requirements of the statute traffic track safety standard, track owner must make an appropriate remedial action. Part 213. Inspectors should note that nothing in the paragraph interfered with the track owner's continuing obligation to conduct the track inspection in 213.233. In addition, with the on-foot track foot periodic inspection can be performed in concurrent with the statute 213.233. Periodic inspection with reference herein on the foot inspection with the continuous wall of the rail joint for the owners must be conducted with a regular basis for the track owner required for the conduct the on-foot periodic inspection minimal intervals specified in paragraph H6 for the track owner can of course of the free of the conduct of these inspection more frequently as required. 2. Identify the joint bars with the visible otherwise detectable cracks or conduct remedial action pursuant to statute 213.121. Guidance. The paragraph requires the track owner to identify the joint bars with the visible otherwise detectable crack conduct remedial action pursuant to statute 213.121. Remedial inspectors must distinguish if the joint bars already cracked in joint bars that have been potential cracking in the future. The track owner discovered the joint cracked joint bar. The owner must make the remedial action specified in 213.121. However, the track owner discovered the joint bar actual potential joint failure, the owner must take corrective action specified in the continuous wall of the brand corrective action with further address in paragraph H5. 3. Specific condition actual potential joint failure with the personal most inspection, including at a minimum of the following terms: loose bent with the missing joint bolt rail and better mismatch contributed to instability with the joint evidence successful longitudinal rail movement near to the joint, including but not limited to the wide rail gap, defective joint bolt, the distributed bolt ballast, sufficient surface deviation, the gap between the tie plates and rail, the displacement of the rail anchors. Guys, the paragraph identified the items relating to the joint inspection of the track owner must address for the continuous wall of the rail plan. The inspector should note that these items with the minimum the track owner shall address of the course the track owner is free to include additional items with respect to the continuous wall of the rail plan. The railroad track inspector is identified with the railroad action. Record the action items listed during the inspection joint because of these items related to the integrity of the joint of this safety train for those operating of these joints. Inspector should know that the list of the all-inclusive of the other conditions that could indicate the failure, but the inspector should urge the track owner to consider all the conditions, not just these listed examples. Specify the procedure for the inspection continues wall of the rail, the embedded with the high rail crossing, other structures to prevent complete inspection for the joint, including the procedure for the removal of the joint, loose material, other temporary material. The paragraph requires the track owner to include the procedure for the continuous wall of the rail point and plan for the inspection of the continuous wall of the rail joint embedded with the highway rail grade crossing and the other structure to prevent the complete inspection of the joint, the EG plan for the fueling facility, scale, passenger walkways at the station, cover the track and plans must also include procedure for the removal of loose material and other temporary material from the joint with respect to the procedural embedded of the joint. So the inspectors must not expect the railroad to disassemble, to remove the track structure, remove the payment of the cross-pad, to conduct the inspection of the continuous weld of the railroad joint. However, the FRA expects the railroad will take every effort to exercise extent practical to inspect the joints of these structures. Inspectors need to be aware of the continuous weld of the joint must be made sometimes temporarily buried during the maintenance of the ballast and distributed with the middle of the track and along with the track, therefore unable to unavailable for inspection. The FRA inspect for the railroad will necessary and measure for the conducting experience of the continuous weld of the rail joint and just inspect the railroad will schedule the maintenance to allow the complete inspection of these joints. The continuous weld of the rail joints are buried with the ballast. Inspectors should understand that the railroad maintenance with the personnel will wait with the completion of the track surface the direction of the ballast before the conduction of the joint bar inspection. However, the railroad employees may use the hand tools, mechanical means to remove the ballast side track joints so that they can conduct any inspection of those track joints. Finally, the FRA notes the comments components of the track, such as cross-ties, fasteners, and tie plates, etc., also not visible from the highway rail grade crossing. Similar structures, the inspector should note that the FRA has never specifically exempted those items of the inspection required in Part 213. The inspector should continue to inspect the railroads when inspect these areas to the maximum extent possible. F5. Specify the appropriate corrective actions to be taken with the personal fine of the condition for the actual potential joint failure, including the 1 foot follow-up inspection monitoring conditions on the potential joint failure in any period prior to the completion of the repairs. Gone to the paragraph, requires the track owner to specify that the plan for the appropriate the corrective action must be taken with the track inspector for the condition of actual potential joint failure. Inspector should not know the difference between the terms remedial action and corrective action. According to the apply according remedial action of those action track owners required to take the result of the requirements of the Power 213 and address the non-compliant condition. For example, the track owner discovered the cracked joint bar that the owner replaced with the statute 213-121 parallel requirements of the railroad continuous weld of the rail plan. Corrective actions, on the other hand, those actions that the track owner specify their continuous weld of the rail plan to address condition potential joint failure, including applicable repair restriction and operation additional on-foot inspection. Share the FRA has defined those terms as 213-119J. Foot follow-up inspection reinforced herein joint specific condition with the responsible condition track owner discovered that during the period inspection track owners identified the continuous weld of the rail plan condition of the trigger following inspection. For the example of the track owner identified the replace the bolt and the inspector Wheatley corrective action bent bolt. Track inspector discovered the bent bolt during the periodic inspection does the not immediately replace the track inspector will then conduct the following inspection with the joint specifying the frequency in the case of the weekly. Specify the time of the periodic inspection which shall be based on the configuration condition of the joint. Down to the paragraph with required with the railroad owner to specify the time and on foot periodic inspection, the number of the required joint inspection addressed by the table of the paragraph H6I with the time period with the paragraph to represent with the minimum of what's expected the railroad owners encouraged to implement the additional inspection periods as they determine necessary. In paragraph H6I 2 through 4, inspectors should be aware the FRA is allowing exemption minimum inspection frequency on scheduled detours, certain passenger trains and items that are already inspected monthly basis pursuant to paragraph 213-235 of the exemption. We'll discuss in more detail. 1. Except for the provided in paragraph 862 and 864 through 864, the section of the track owners must be specify the continuous weld of the rail joints inspected with the minimum accordance with the intervals identified in the following table. Alright, Class 5 and above, the less than 40 million gross tons, 40 to 2, 3 squared, 46 million gross tons, greater than 60 million gross tons, 4 squared, annual tonnage, less than passenger trains, 3 and 3, I'm not good with tables. The first footnote provided for the track owner of the operator the freight of the passenger train for the given segment of the two different possible the inspection interval requirements. The most frequent inspection interval to apply with the footnote developed in accordance with addressing the concern with the track share with the freight passenger. It was anticipated that the potential conflicting inspection and frequency is required with the track owner where the follow with the chart with the both type of the train, but the requiring the most frequent inspection situation conflicting footnote ensure the great safety and the protection of the track and the use of the Mexican purpose. If the second footnote was added with the response for the concern regarding the sensitivity of extreme regional weather conditions concerning with the range with regard to the difficulty in inspection of the continuous weld of the rail northern regions where the large amount of the snow, but the FRA note that there could be times where the most extreme difficulty with the track owner with the clear of snow and ice from the joint order did not to be seen. Inspection footnote allows the flexibility of the track owners in this situation. 2. Consistent with any of the limitation applied with the track owner passenger train conducting with an unscheduled detour to operation may proceed with over the track not normally used for the passenger operation at a speed not exceeding the maximum speed authorized speed allowing even through the continuous weld of the rail joints not have been inspected with the accordance with the frequency identified with the paragraph 861, but this section provided with that all continuous weld of the rail joints have been inspected consistent with the requirements freight service, and B, the unscheduled detour operation last no more than 14 consecutive calendar days. Order to continue operation between the 14-day period. The track owner must inspect the continuous wall of the rail joints in accordance with the requirements of paragraph 861 of this section. Alright guys, the paragraph allows the track owner a limited period of time to operate with the passenger train without lowering the track speed without adhering to the required inspection frequency of the passenger train as pursuant to table 213, 119, 861. The provision accommodated for the unplanned outages, the rail accidents, and other emergency situation. Track owners are still required to adhere to the applicable freight inspection frequency of the provision intended to provide relief for railroads to operate the passenger train have the last minute with the emergency situation. However, the track owner operates the passenger train at the normal track speed not more than 14 days. The track must be inspected with the appropriate passenger train level detailed in the charter, statute 213, 119, 861. The tourist scenic historic excursion operation limited to the maximum authorized speed passenger train is over the next lower class of the train. Track need not to be considered in determining the frequency of the inspection of the 861 section. Guidance is defined in statute 213, 119, L. The tourist and scenic of the historic excursion operation of the railroad operation carrying passenger for the conveyance for the passenger to the particular destination not being principal purpose of the operation and running less with the frequency interstating with the commuter passenger train with the curve, but the most often is short line railroads. If the track operation has operation type of the track that does not want to take the operation into account with determining the inspection frequency, the owner must drop the track speed one class regarding the operation of this way. If the track owner will still be in the compliance with the inspection frequency mandated by the paragraph 861. Regardless of the class of the freight of the owner runs with the track, the first footnote of the table of the paragraph 861 states whether the two different possible inspection interval requirements of the most frequent inspection interval applied. Above the consideration situation, the tourist trains for the operate with the general system of the transportation for the tourist trains on the track other than the general system of transportation. Such operation normally is not subject to the track safety standards in C Part 209 Appendix A. 4. All continuous welded rail joints located with the switch turnouts and tracks crossing lifted raised rail assembly for the other transition devices, movable bridges must be inspected on foot at least monthly, consistent with requirements 213, 235, and all records of the inspection must be kept in accordance with the requirements of 213, 241. If the track owner must include the statute 213, 233, 235, inspection in lieu and the joint inspection required for the paragraph 861 of this section can use welded rail joints located with the track structure with adjacent switches and turnouts provided with the track owner precisely defines the parameters of the arrangement of the continuous welded rail plan. This paragraph exempts the following items of the periodic inspection frequent intervals: the switching, the turnout, the track crossing, lifting rail, some of the other the transition devices, movable bridge. The track owners already inspect these items on a monthly basis with pursuant to 213, 235. Rather than applying an additional periodic inspection requirement, they apply the intervals of the table 213, 119, 861, but the switch and the turnouts, etc. If I believe it appropriate to have the track owners conduct the inspection and rejoin for these locations during the monthly statute 213, 233, 235 inspection. The FRA has surely understood operated under the assumption that the turnout extended at the point of the switch of the heel of the frog. The inspector should continue with the operate under the assumption that accordingly all joints with the turnout, switches, etc. must be inspected with monthly pursuant to the statute 213, 235 in their accord with the inspection, but must be kept in accordance with the 213, 241. The regulation does not require the data elements of the 213, 119, 871, but appear with the 213, 233, 235 inspection record. Alright, all joints extended beyond the point of the switch of the heel of the frog must be inspected with the frequency intervals and defined in statute 213, 119, 861. However, the track owner free to include their monthly 213, 233, 235 inspection of these joints with the located in the track of the structure adjacent to the turnout and switches. Track owner chooses to do this, but must clearly define the parameters of the arrangement that continues well the rail plan. In other words, the track owner should identify the physical limits adjacent to the track structure insulated joints upon the signal. Until the signal, they must clearly identify the inspect intervals with the joints adjacent to the track, e.g. the inspection of all insulated joints into the signal during the monthly statute 213, 235 inspection. Alright, the blank circle is the non-continuous welded rail joint, and the filled-in circle is continuous welded rail joint, continuous welded rail joint track. In addition, as long as the track owner clear to define the parameter of the continuous welded rail plan, the track does not know yet need the two sets recorded with the record with the stage 213, 235 inspection record of the 213, 119, 861 inspection of the inspection of the adjacent joints. For example, the track owner continuous welded rail plans indicates the joint the crossover between the turnout the completion must be inspected during the monthly 213, 235 inspection. Rail truck and inspector inspects the joint for the crossover during the monthly 213, 235 inspection. Then sufficient the track owner create and maintain at least 213, 235 code or record. Therefore, I believe the option would be useful between the avoid the confusion and duplication that might otherwise result. In addition of the FRA note, it would be burdensome for the track inspector to inspect the adjacent joints monthly, and make note that the inspection monthly of the 213-235 also required to make the additional 213-119-861 record every few months. Or 7. Specifying the record, keeping the requirements related to the joint of the continuous wall of the rail, including the following. The track owner shall keep the record of each of the periodic following up the section required to perform the track owner's continuous wall of the rail points covered these inspections conducted pursuant to the 213-235. The track owners must maintain the record pursuant to 213-241. The record shall be prepared the daily inspection made with the sign of the person making the inspect of the record shall include the minimum of the following items: the boundary of the territory, inspect the nature, location, the deviations of the joint from the requirements for the part of the track owner continuous wall of the rail plan with the location and identified with sufficient precision. Personnel can return to the joint, identify the ambiguity, the date of the inspection, remedial action, corrective action, both that must be taken will be taken, the name of the identification number of the person who made the inspection. Guys, the paragraph in addressing the inspection report for the created after the periodic inspection required in paragraph 861 for the following inspection required for the track owner of the continuous wall of the rail plan. The inspection report of the periodic inspection shall be prepared with the daily inspection made with the contained with required information. The periodic inspection record combined with other records required in statute 213-241. The track owner shall generate the fracture report with every crack, broken, continuous wall of the rail joint barred of the track owner discovered the course of the inspection conducted pursuant to 213-119G with the 213-233 and 213-235 on the track required in 213-119-861 to be inspected. A. The fracture report shall be prepared with the day of the crack of the broken joint with the bar discovered. The report shall include the minimum of the railroad name, the location of the joint bar, the identifier of the malpost subdivision, the class of the track, the annual minimum gross ton of the previous calendar year of the day of the discovered the crack of the break of the railroad section, the type of the bar, standard insulated compromise with the number of the holes in the joint bar, the general description, the location of the crack of the break in the bar, visible length of the crack in the joint, inches, and the gap of the measurement between the rail end and amount of length of the rail end battered ramp of each rail end of the rail end. The amount of the tread mismatch, vertical movement of the joint, and the curve of the surface spirals amount of the gauge mismatch with the lateral movement of the joint. B. The track owner shall submit the information contained with the fracture report for the FRA to the Associated Administrative with the twice annually by July 31st preceding the 6-month period of the January 1st through the June 30th and January 31st for the preceding 6 months of the period of the July 1st through December 31st. After January 1st, 2010, the track owner may petition the FRA to conduct the technical conference to review the fracture report of the data submitted with the December 2009 with the excess with the continued need for the collection of the fracture data report. The track owner should submit the written request, the Associated Administrator requesting the technical conference explaining the reason for the proposing discontinued collection of the data. Guys, the paragraphs required the railroad to generate the fracture report that also required submitted with the Associated Administrative twice annually pursuant to paragraph 213-119-872. The railroad must complete with the fracture reports when the finding of the crack breaks during the routine inspection pursuant to 213-119G with the 213-233, 213-235, and the track of the reporting is inspected with the 213-119-861. The FRA intends that the fracture report with the collected continuous wall of the rail joint data. The FRA does not intend for the fracture reports for the enforcement purposes. The inadvertent error of the fracture report submitted with the railroad employees, they should not be subject to the civil penalties, although the pursuant to 213-119-861, track owners should not require to complete the fracture report for the cracks of the brakes found with the expected track of Class 1 Class 2 track without passenger service. Inspection should encourage the track owner to complete the fracture report whenever the cracks in the brakes are discovered in addition with the required inspection. In the FRA inspector encountered the repeated failure to prepare to complete the records for the come upon persistent and recurring pattern of the non-reporting. The inspectors are to confirm the original specialist for the non-reporting. The regional specialist will confirm with the different division of the staff to determine the appropriate enforcement action. The track owner is not required to keep the fracture reports pursuant to the requirements of statute 213-241. For that, the fracture report should be kept until the track owner has received confirmation of the headquarters for the data has been received. The FRA has provided with the four options means for the track owner to submit the fracture report. The first option through the electronic data, the submission with the extensible markup language format. The option allows the railroad to decide how best the capable information yet submitted to the FRA in standard valid way. The railroad can submit the information with the FRA by sending an XML file directly with the FRA via the email. The second option is file with the PDF format. Use the file of Adobe PDF with the file to capture to submit the data with the railroad can complete with each of the railroad. Each report submit the Adobe to generate the XML file with the FRA view G for the submitted button located on the form. The third FRA will has been made available to Excel with the spreadsheet into which the railroad can input the fractured reports. The spreadsheet can be submitted with the Viva electronic media downloaded for the FRA Office Safety of Analysis website. As a final option, the FRA has made printable version of the Office Management and Budget Approved Fracture Report form available for the download. See Appendix E for the compliance with the manual unofficial copy of the form. However, the railroads who are wishing to submit the form of the hard copy should use the fracture report available for download rather than the unofficial copy. More specific instruction regarding submission for the report available on the Office Safety Analysis website following address http://safety-data.fra.gov. See continuous follow the rail. Alright, broken name required. The fracture report is prepared with the day of the crack of the broken continuous follow the rail joint is found with the fracture report is completed whenever the crack of the broken rail joint is discovered during the periodic inspection required. Section 213.119.861 as well as the current required in 213, 233, and 235. The annual million gross ton of the information required for the fracture report can be inserted in the report and another designated employee with the railroad since the railroad track. Inspector may not have the ready access to the information. However, the inspector should be made aware of the range which the value is falls of the result of the instruction provided with concerning the frequency of the inspection required. Paragraph B requires the track owner to submit the information contained with the fracture reports twice annually with the FRA. The FRA connecting with the fracture report data with the review, the analysis determine the root cause of the joint failures. In addition, the FRA inspector will be expected to submit the FRA fracture with the character with the broken continuous wall of the rail joint and found during the inspection with the defect of the exemption with the rail continuous wall of the rail point. In addition, the note of the defecting their joint. However, the one fracture must be submitted with the defective joint. And the FRA inspection not one of the required at the time. The railroad must be submitted the fracture report. However, the railroad may voluntarily complete with the form through the FRA inspector would not complete and submit the form. The inspector may error to complete with the reports available to the PDF form, which can be found with the FRA Office Safety Analysis website under the continuous wall of the rail toolbar for the submit button email with Adobe generated XML predetermined address. Alright, paragraph C allows the track owner petition FRA after the February 1st, 2010 to conduct the technical conference assessing whether the continued need for the collection of the fracture report data. But during the technical conference, the FRA will review the data collected with the analysis done with the date, determine the deficient data that has been collected to enable the FRA to make to technically complete the determination continuous wall of the rail joint bar with the failure clause. And the contributing conditions. In lieu of the requirements for the inspection of the joint bar or joint railroad junction in paragraph H1 of the A through H7 of this section, the track owner may seek approval of the FRA to use an alternate procedure. 1. The track owner shall submit the procedure, alternating procedure, supporting statement, justification, and associated administrator. Okay, Associated Administrator found that the proposed alternating procedure provided with the equivalent high-level safety of the requirements of paragraph H1 through H of the section. The Associated Administrator will approve of the alternating procedure for notifying the track owner with writing. The Associated Administrator specify the written notification date of the procedure will become effective after the date, and the track owner shall comply with the procedure. Associated Administrator determines the alternating procedure do not provide equivalent level of safety of the Associated Administrator that is approved. Alternating procedure with the writing with the track owner shall continue to comply with the requirements of paragraph H1 through H7. 3. While the determination pending the Associated Administrator on the request submitted with the pursuant to paragraph H8 of the section, track owner shall continue to comply with the requirements contained in the H1 through H7 of this section. Guys, the paragraph permits the track owner to advise the alternating program with the inspection of the continuous wall of the rails during the track owner can seek with the DVA minimum inspection frequency specified in 213.119.86. Shall submit the alternating procedure of the supporting a statement as a justification of the FRA Associated Administrator of the Railroad Safety and Chief of the Safety Officer. And supporting statement of the track owner must include the data of the analysis established and certification of Associated Administrator of the Railroad Safety, Chief Safety Officer. The alternating procedure provided with the least of equivalent level of safety across the railroad. If the Associated Administrator of the Railroad Safety, Chief of the Safety Officer approved the alternating procedure, Associated Administrator of the Railroad Safety, Chief Safety Officer notifying the track owner such as the approval and the writing of the written notification. Associated Administrator, Railroad Safety, Chief Safety Officer will specify the date and the alternative procedure will become effective. After that date, the track owner shall comply with the approved procedure. The Associated Administrator, Railroad Safety, Chief Safety Officer determines the alternating procedure not provide equivalent level of safety. The Associated Administrator, Railroad Safety, Chief Safety Officer will disapprove of the alternating procedure and rating with the determination pending the Associated Administrator for the Railroad Safety, Chief Safety Officer. The track owner shall continue to comply with the requirements in paragraph in Statute 213.119.86. Alright, technology, including the frequent automated track geometry survey and sound continuous wall of the rail management, including the prompt of removal of the temporary joint of the brain, provided the additional information required for verifying the outgoing integrity of the joint of the continuous wall of the rail. Alternating procedure provision with the final rail will allow the track owners to take advantage of the new approach with this as they become effective. 119 AI. The track owner shall have the effect of the comprehensive training program and the application for these written continuous while the rail proceed with the provisions of the annual retraining with these individuals designated in Statute 213.7c for the qualified supervised installation adjustment. Many of the continuous while the track that perform inspection continuous while the track owner shall make the training of the program available to review of the FRA upon request. Our guidance. All railroad employees designated under the statute 213.7c with the qualified supervisor of the installation adjustment maintenance continuous wall of the rail track of the performed inspection continuous wall of the track must be trained with the track owner training continuous wall of the rail. Track owners shall maintain with the written record of the training in accordance with the statute 213.7d, but the inspector should be referred to in the requirements of the training program of the regional office of the railroad representative agree with the volunteer to make this initial submission for the continuous wall of the rail training program of the FRA of the track. Inspector should not be request the training program of the specific track owner unless on a specified direction of the FRA management rather than the FRA headquarters staff will undertake with the responsibility of obtaining the dissemination of these information reviewed by the FRA inspector, state inspector participating with the rail safety enforcement document activities under Title 49 CFR Part 212. However, the inspector can request a copy of the track owner qualifications during the regular business hours. Alright, 119J. The track owner shall prescribe the comply with the requirements necessary to provide with the adequate history of the track constructed with the continuous flow of the rail. At the minimum, these requirements must be the rail temperature, location, date of the continuous flow or rail installation. Each record should be retained at least once a year. A record of the continuous flow or rail installation maintenance for the work does not conform to the written procedure. Such a record shall include the location of the rail and maintained until the continuous flow of the rail brought with conformance in such procedure. Information on the inspection of the rail joint is specified in paragraph 8, section 7 of the section. Guidance. Paragraph A contains the record keeping the requirement of the railroad have the track constructed with the continuous wall of the rail. At a minimum, the track owner must keep the record of the items listed for the paragraph J1 through J3. Paragraph J1 requires each of the railroad to keep the record of the rail temperature, location, date of the continuous wall of the rail installation. J2 requires the track owner to keep the record of the continuous wall of the rail installation maintenance for the work done in conform with the written procedure. But also the F2 requires the railroad to determine the difference between the range average rail temperature of the average rail neutral temperature. The necessity of the record of the rail neutral temperature railroad repair location does not conform to the procedure. Paragraph J3 requires the track owner to keep the record of information inspection rail joints specified in paragraph H7. 119K. The track owner shall make the readily available at every job site with the personnel assigned the installation inspector will maintain the continuous wall of the rail. Copy the track owner for the continuous wall of the rail procedure. All revision appendices, updates, reference material related to their prior to the effective date, such as continuous wall of the rail procedure, shall be issued with maintained with one continuous wall of the rail standard procedure manual. Alright, again, since implementation continues wall of the rail regulation, the FRA has noted with the number of the rail carriers maintained the two different sets of the continuous wall of the rail procedure. Additional summer rails have maintained the set of the continuous wall of the rail procedure submitted with the FRA as required with the section 213.119 set, as well as separate set with the continuous wall procedure used by the personnel is available while it may be acceptable to reset rail. The instruction of personnel will maintain the more restrictive continuous wall of the rail procedure field in which on the file of the report is important to note the railroads must train the personnel with the plan formally submitted with the file of the FRA with the FRA enforced with the track owner continuous wall of the rail plan on the file with the Office of Rail Safety. It's critical that these procedures at every job site with the personnel are assigned to the inspect and install, inspect, and maintain continuous wall of the rail, specifically ensure the personnel with the field and understand with the set of the procedure. FRA will hold them responsible for compliance to track safety standards. Alright, 119L. Used in this section, adjusting and de-stressing means the procedure of the rail temperature is readjusting and desired value of the typical and consistently cutting rail, removing the A-rail anchor devices which provide the necessary expansion for the contraction, then reassembling the track. Annual retraining. It means that training every calendar year. Buckling incident means the formulation of the lateral misalignment, sufficient magnitude of the constituting deviation, class 1 requirement specified in statute 213.55. The normal occurred with the rail temperature relatively high, requires a high longitudinal compressive structure. Compressive forces. Buckling prone condition meeting with the track condition with the result of the track being laterally displaced with the high compressive some forces caused by critical rail temperature combined with the efficient track strength and train dynamics. Continuous wall of the rail means for the rail that has been welded together in length exceeding 400 feet with the rail, and as continuous weld, the rail remains continuous weld of the rail regardless of whether the joint and plug is installed with the rail at a later time. The corrective actions mean that the action with the track owner with specifying the continuous weld of the rail points addressing conditions of actual potential failure, including applicable repair, restriction, and operation, and additional on-foot inspection. Continuous weld of the rail joint means the joint directly connected with the continuous weld rail. Desired rail installation temperature range means the rail temperature range within a specific geographical area in which the continuous weld of the rail should not cause the buckling incident with extreme heat with all pull apart with extreme cold weather. Disturbed track means the disturbance in the roadbed ballast section as a result of the track mainly for any other event reduce the lateral or longitudinal resistance of the track or both. Mechanical stabilization means the type of the procedure used to restore the track resistance of the disturbed track. Following certain maintenance with operation, the procedure may incorporate the dynamic track stabilizers, ballast consolidators, which unit work equipment are used to substitute with the stabilization action provided with the passage of tonnage trains. Pull apart strip joint means the condition with no bolts are mounted with the joint on the rail end rending the joint bar ineffective due to the excessive expansion of the contractive forces. Pull apart prone condition means the condition where the actual rail temperature was below the rail neutral temperature or near the joint with the longitudinal tensional force may affect the rail passing of the joint. Rail anchors means the device was attached with the rail bear against the side with the cross-tie controlled longitudinal rail movement with a certain type of the rail fasteners also act as rail anchors control longitudinal rail movement exerting the downward clamping force on the upper surface of the rail base. Your rail neutral temperature. The temperature with the rail is neither the compressive nor the tension of the rail temperature. Means the temperature of the rail measured with the rail thermometer. The remedial action means of the action of the train operator owners are required to take as a result of the requirements of part of the address and non-compliant condition. Tight and kinky rails are what means for the continuous weld of the rail exhibit the minute alignment irregularities which indicate that the rail is considerable amount of compression, torque, and scenic historic exertion in operations. Means the railroad operation the carrying of the passenger conveyance for the passenger for the particular destination not being principal purpose. Track lateral resistance means for the resistance provided with the rail cross-tie structure against the lateral displacement. Track longitudinal resistance means for the resistance provided with the rail anchors, rail fasteners, ballast sections, rail cross-tie structure against longitudinal displacement. Train-inducing forces means the vertical, longitudinal, lateral dynamic forces which are generated during the train movement which contribute to the buckling potential of the rail. Unscheduled detour operation means the short-term unscheduled operation where the track owner has no more than 14 calendar days notice for the operation going to occur. 213.121 rail joints.